Can we give it up for the band again, please? Pitchfork. This is a story about how this festival came about, and this is an ode to artists. The brick and mortars set the groundwork for this festival. I was asked last year if I would write a poem for the brick and mortar. It came in an email. It said, we need something about the juxtaposition of the modern and historical, the blending of the internet and the brick and mortar, but funny. And there's some cash. Let's just focus on that for a minute as artists. There was some cash. We're talking cash. And that usually makes an artist happy. It doesn't make the audience happy. But if you don't have the artist happy, you usually don't have happy arts. Of course, this drove me into an inspirational frenzy because of the cash. I said, of course, I'll write something. I had thousands of ideas. Nothing about the brick and mortar. But I mean, that's the creative process. Historically, artists have always had fine patrons. Somebody who likes you or likes your art and is willing to pay for it. My mother thought it was enough to put my art on the refrigerator. That somehow lost its encouragement after a while. At school, you know, you got those little stickers. And I remember my art teacher saying, "Look, class, Paul's drawing almost looks like a dog." And I wanted to scream out, "It's a bird! It's a bird!" But I wanted the sticker. So I learned early on, never interpret art for anybody else, and keep your mouth shut. This started me down the path of being an honest artist. One has to manipulate honesty to pay the rent. The brick and mortar, of course, is the studio where artists create. But you need money for rent. So artists look for abandoned buildings, slumlords in other countries. You got to find the appropriate place to create, but you have to be able to afford it. But let's get clear now. These studios that they say they're going to create is really where artists live by throwing down a mattress, trying to make it into something more lofty, like, this is my studio. When someone visits these hovels and finds the dirty dishes, the rats, the cockroaches, the artist says the rats are pets. And I'm teaching the cockroaches tricks. We know the artist is delusional. They actually even believe that if their art doesn't sell, they'll have another job as an animal trainer. The problem with artists moving into these abandoned buildings is that coffee shops spring up, sandwich shops spring up, thrift shops spring up, where artists buy their clothes and props. And suddenly they become hip places to be, and coffee goes from 35 cents to $4 for a tall. then the abandoned storefronts turn into galleries, and the artists start to show their work. And of course, then you get people coming in and saying, what does this mean? And again, yeah, smart artist knows to say, how do you feel about this? And they say, yes, this expresses the deepest emotion I can ever think of. And the artist learns to nod their head. Yes, that's right. When really this canvas was what was on the floor when they were painting the walls during an emotional breakup. But now they're stuck selling this kind of art and they're trapped. And they have to keep selling this crap when they really want to be a singer. The problem is, every time they tried to sing, the police were called because someone thought some abuse was going on. By the way, the Brick and Mortar is a video festival. I didn't grow up with videos or DVDs. I had 3 channels, black and white. Somebody told me there was an educational channel. I looked at it once. I didn't find any King Kong movies. There was no Abbott and Costello, no Three Stooges. I never watched it. By the way, you know, when I had a phone, I could barely talk for just a few minutes. I had to dial it, you know, and I had to like pine for my crushes in high school because I could only talk to them for a couple of minutes. Now the youth talks to everybody all over the world, texts, makes videos, produces videos, has YouTube channels. A 12-year-old produced 12 books online, has a 1,000-word blog. I'm still reading the manual how to get one poem up on Facebook. I can tell you, I'm feeling loved. I hit 23 friends. And by the way, the gallery is no longer a brick and mortar. You gotta have a website, a professional looking website. It doesn't matter that you live in a refrigerator box next to some cyber cafe. Nobody knows that because your website's professional. And let's not forget social networking, where you hang out with people you don't know, you call them your friends, you encourage them and hide your jealousy over their creativity, and everybody waits for sales. What really hurts is seeing your masterpieces being sold on eBay. You know that things have to be recycled, you just wish it was somebody else's artwork. So the question is, what has changed? What has the historical and the present got to do with anything? And what has been blended with the internet and the brick and mortar? Has it made it better for artists? Well, artists now have the ability to reach hundreds, if not hundreds of thousands of people. And they can now talk about their poverty, expose their neurosis and their loneliness, their angst about survival, with one click of the mouse. Historically, it's always a struggle for artists. I'm really grateful that I got paid and that there was some free coffee. It almost reminded me of my mother putting the artwork on the refrigerator.